Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of How Not to K-Pop Season 2. Is that how we're doing the intro, Henry?
I guess so. This should be our third episode, right?
We are up to episode 3. It is true. I tried the BTS meal.
Sean, you tried the BTS meal?
Yeah, because it has some of my favorite things, and that is chicken nuggets. Hell yeah. Chicken nuggets, they're amazing. They're no different to standard chicken nuggets. You get 10 of them in this BTS meal. You get a large chips and drinks if you're here in Australia. And that drink can be any one you want, but word on the street is the members like Sprite generally.
I'm surprised they didn't mention that as part of the collaboration as well, or is the default?
I found that interesting too, that it wasn't the default, because chicken and Sprite just go well together anyway to begin with.
So is it? So it's what? 10 nuggets. You get large chips and drinks. Anything else?
You get 2 sauces. Now this is where it becomes a little bit different. So the BTS meal has 2 brand spanking new sauces, which are theoretically picked by the band.
Right.
So I tried them. Very meh. You get 2 sauces.
Wait.
One of them's sweet chili. The other one's Cajun. The Cajun one, it's fairly good. It's not bad. I think I prefer buffalo sauce personally, just in terms of sauces. That's exactly what's so meh. I kind of expected just a different sauce, I suppose, overall. Like, imagine if, because in BTS world, in ARMY world, purple is a big deal for the past maybe 2-3 years. My girlfriend told me that it had Hangul written on the box as well, and to see Hangul in a McDonald's in Australia was quite a sight. And it has I Purple You on the packaging, so there were some nice elements of this BTS meal, but the main reason I go get food is to enjoy eating it. So I'm all about the flavor. That should be priority. And these sauces, man, they just weren't quite there, so overall it's a bit disappointing.
So hold up, what's the sauce you would choose for in place of the sweet chili and the Cajun?
I'm definitely sweet and sour, the classic, but also I don't mind barbecue or ultra spicy. So that's why the Cajun sort of was pretty good, but also buffalo sauce type thing or something just very spicy also goes down real well.
I used to go with the sweet and sour, and then I don't know, at some point I just felt it was too much, too filling for something. It felt like it was filling. I don't know why. And
it's kind of rich, yeah.
I eventually went back to the barbecue sauce, and it's of the 2 barbecue. There is the honey mustard, which is also very nice.
Nah, so I can't do honey mustard, man. I don't know.
What?
It just It's just
No.
crap mustard. Like, what have you done? Like, hey, I love
mustard.
normal mustard. Want to ruin it with honey?
It's honey mustard. What do you want to do? English hot English mustard?
Yeah, love
it's not
some.
steak.
Get some Dijon up in
steak.
here. Yeah.
Oh no! What next? Wasabi? What wasabi? I mean,
Yeah.
it's gonna kill
Nuggets,
you.
sushi. What's the difference?
Sushi nuggets. Mac sushi. Oh god, what are we doing? But yeah, so for me, I guess the mainstay is barbecue. It used to be sweet and sour, but I've since moved back to. I always consider barbecue the default, the tried and true sauce.
No, sweet and sour is the default. Absolutely,
No.
it's the default. What?
Screw you! Shut up. Barbecue's the default, man.
So you automatically reach for, if you were an employee, you would automatically reach for barbecue if they didn't specify?
Well, in Victoria, that's what they give you.
You monster. Of course
Wait,
of course you give sweet
right?
and
They
sour.
give barbecue to me, and I'm happy with it. Okay.
Okay,
Do you have
good.
to ask them for sweet and sour or sweet?
Never have in my
Alright.
life.
That's because they remember you.
Oh,
They know that you buy a lot from them. You are them. Your money. You are their money tree.
They've got my face on the wall. Like, this guy wants
order
his
2
nugs with
BTS
sweet and
meals,
sour.
not one.
Yeah.
You order 2 BTS meals, and because your girlfriend loves BTS, that's probably 3 or 4 more. All right. Anyway.
Yeah, there's some news. There's some actual news to talk about instead of just food. JYP, ITZY, one of the members, Leah, has been accused of bullying, which seems to be happening to a lot of girl idols in the past few years. A lot, in fact. Yeah. Wow. We've even covered some of them, like AOA.
Yeah, that's true. AOA Jimin, the leader, which was very surprising. I never would have noticed.
Well, absolutely. It was a shock. Same with this ITZY Leah. So what's happened is JYP, so the latest news as of June 16th is they're requesting a reinvestigation into a case where this individual from Leah's middle school uploaded a post in the present, not during middle school days, online saying that in middle school, long time ago, ITZY's Leah had borrowed money from her without returning it, spoken badly of her, and, just gossiped, being one of those people, and made her an outcast and isolated her from others, so bullied her. And so this went all the way up to the police. And basically what they have said now is that JYP tried to sue her for defamation, and the police said, unfortunately, there's not enough evidence, or they simply said there's insufficient evidence to prove that the claims made in that online post are false.
So basically, you're telling me that ITZY's Leah was indeed a bully?
It's a very legal wording here, so short answer, no. ITZY's Leah, as far as we can ascertain, is not a bully. However, there's not enough evidence to say she isn't either. Right?
Okay.
And that's how the police have worded this, and as you've pretty much just revealed, that's a little bit damaging, isn't it?
It is very damaging. They've proven they proved that the posts could be true.
Yes, after an investigation, they've proven that there's not enough evidence to disprove those statements that were made online.
Right, yeah.
About the borrowing money and not returning it, the speaking badly, and the isolating. Yeah.
I mean, borrowing money and speaking badly, I do that to my friends all the time. They do it to me.
Oh, yeah, that's Saturday afternoon for you, Henry.
Come on, man. You go, back in middle school. Back in middle school? Bruh.
That reminds me about that $10 last week,
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well,
COVID, man, times are hard.
Yeah, man. I borrowed $10 and won't give it back. All right, sure, whatever. Just don't give her $10 anymore. Jesus. But it is very confusing the way the police have.
And that's created a situation where there's basically this cloud over Leah's name because it hasn't been cleared. There is no closure yet.
The girl that has not returned $10 back to the poster, which she borrowed probably a few years ago, because ITZY's Leah was born in 2000. Her being in middle school, we're looking at what year is middle school?
Middle school is say 10 to 12-ish.
10 to 12-ish. All right. So we're looking at 2010, the year 2010 and 2012. For us, year 10 or year 10. Not 10 years old. What am I doing?
No, 10 years old, yeah.
Really? No. I thought
generally it's 11 to 14. So generally it includes 5, 6, 7, say.
Right.
But it can go up to year 9.
Okay, so for now, let's assume it's up to year 9. How old was I? I was like 16, 15. Like 15.
Right. Let's say 13 to 15 as a general ballpark.
She's born year 2000. That means these accusations would have been, 5 to 7 years ago. ITZY's Leah did not return me money. I mean, it's so stupid.
You're saying that it's quite old and it's when they were young, so to bring it up now, especially when Leah's become quite successful, and we're assuming that this money lending thing, if it is true, is probably a fairly small amount of money because they're kids. Like, how much money do they have? Here's your pocket money, Leah, $500. Like, that's
What happens if it turns out the poster was writing, the posts were all true, except it's reverse. It's actually Leah that lent the $10 to the poster, and the poster was the one who wouldn't return it and was bullying Leah.
Well, here's another interesting little tidbit that I'm just noticing is that it actually hasn't quite been clarified when these events happened. So potentially this spoken badly of her or made her and others outcasts. It could have happened in the later years, potentially, not just middle school. It's not really clear, the timeline. It's a little bit vague, unfortunately. Well, the police did go on to say, okay, we're not acknowledging that these online posts are true. It's simply that we couldn't find evidence to prove they were false. But they're not saying they're true.
So it's not necessarily defamation because it hasn't negatively impacted ITZY's Leah, you could say. And thus, it's not considered defamation. You can't sue this person for defamation.
Well, yeah, it could be that. There's a number of factors here. There's a number of factors at play here. It could be that you need a lot of evidence and you need certain types of evidence, quite hard, definite evidence, not just hearsay, for example.
See, if it's the other way around, let's say ITZY's Leah was posting this stuff saying, this person in the past, I lent them money and they didn't give it back and they were bullying me. ITZY's Leah would be considered bullying right there and then, regardless. Like, oh, you're talking crap about someone in the past, you're a bully right now. And that's, it's much easier to make ITZY's Leah a someone who's defaming because of her current status. Whereas
absolutely. I think in general, that's sort of what has led to this whole situation becoming a situation. The fact that ITZY's Leah has sort of made it. She's with one of the big three companies, JYP. ITZY's been a very successful group. The timing of this whole thing, and this bothers me with a lot of these cases, just the timing is kind of unfortunately nasty, I find, because it's literally, a part of it is that it's a smear campaign against this artist, especially when it turns out to not be true, which we've also covered before, like the SS501 case, where it turns out that Kim Hyun-jung didn't do everything he was accused of against a former girlfriend. So what if this isn't true? These are allegations right now, innocent until proven guilty. If it's not true, her name is still a bit smeared among those gossip circles and all of that. And a lot of people for a long time are going to be saying, oh, ITZY's Leah, isn't she that bully? That's damaging.
Yeah. On the internet, it's not innocent until proven guilty. It's actually guilty until proven innocent.
Happens all the time.
Even then, even if you're proven innocent, right? Guilty until proven innocent. Even then, once you've been proven innocent, it's still going to stick. They're going to remember you for the situation that happened, right? Oh, yeah, the girl that had posts written about her. Well, no, she's ITZY from the girl group. ITZY from JYP. So suddenly she's got another title on her head, which is the girl who supposedly bullied but was proven false. But you don't know. Maybe the proof was wrong, because that can happen as well on the internet. People can make up stuff there. Why would they do that? Why would people lie? But they can. It's the internet.
So, to tie it up, one of my favorite sayings, anywhere you are, digitally, virtually, or just in the real world, don't be a jerk.
Don't be a jerk. That's right. If anything, ITZY should write a song called Jerk.
And then you'll make like a sort of B-grade version of it and sell it on Steam as your own and copyright and all that?
And use it as NFT. No.
Yeah, that's my weird segue, Henry, into what you've been playing on Steam.
Hold up. No, just think about it. After this situation is done, they can then write a song about being a jerk. And I'm not trying to ITZY isn't trying to defame this person. They're just saying being a person who's lying and making stuff up about bullying. These false claims, that's wrong, man. It's like when EXO wrote the song Obsession, and I believe it was based on the idea of really obsessed people, yeah? Or even Sesang fans, really obsessed fans. It's like a way of expressing their frustration about it and telling them, really, dude, just stop. Don't be like that.
Right, fight fire with fire. I like that approach too. Good
EXO
luck,
did it.
Leah, and we'll see what happens. We'll see how this turns out. It could totally be true. Leah, we don't know yet. The full story has not happened. We'll keep you updated right here on the How Not to K-Pop podcast. That's how we do. And Henry, you played a game that involves angels.
Yes. So there is this game that popped up on Steam, which is a gaming library network, whatever, and it was free. All right, awesome. What game is it? I saw pictures of AOA. I loved AOA back in the day.
Free game? This will be good.
It's a game. It's a visual novel. So what does that mean? It means imagine reading a book on a computer, but you have to, after every sentence, you gotta click so it goes to the next sentence, and you have pictures just of the situation. That's cool. The thing is, half the people there, half the characters are all AOA members. I saw Solhyun. I saw who's your favorite? Chanmi, right? There was Chanmi. There was Toa as well. And then
Yura? Is that her actual name? I keep remembering the other name, Yuri.
Well, there's also ITZY's YEZY. There's also 2 Nine Muses members, I believe, and one from Oh My Girl. I think it's one from Oh My Girl. Either way, what gave it off was the fact that these pictures seemed like you just Google search their name on Google, go to images, take a picture from there, and then use a program to turn it into a cartoonish looking version. And that's it.
Maybe not even a program, just Google cartoonify this picture.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm like, mate, this is a rip off. It's fake. I bet you it's horribly written, and
I bet you now have 1,000 viruses on your computer.
Exactly. So for the sake of the podcast, I downloaded it a long time ago.
You took one for the team. You sacrificed so much.
Played it a long time ago. I downloaded an auto clicker for my mouse. It would just click for me, because at the time it didn't have a skip function on the game. But surprisingly enough, the game took me by the collar and pulled me in. And I think I've got like 60 or 70% of the achievements. But I'm surprised. I quite
How many hours, Henry? How many hours have you clocked on this visual novel?
Well, it's not. You don't need that many hours once you have the auto clicker. But I think I've done about 20 hours. And
that's with the auto clicker. Oh dear.
With the auto clicker. Now, it's not really a long visual novel kind of game. It's actually it's all right, and the quick pictures are quite nice. So it's not like horribly drawn versions of Solhyun, otherwise there's going to be mostly negative on the reviews for this game. But the reviews have been very positive. It's free, so you guys can check it out as well. It's called Angel Wings, and yeah, I immediately went for Toa, but my dumbass self had no idea what I was doing. I ended up with Solhyun. I ended up with Solhyun by accident, and it was just a regular ending. I'm like, all right, for the hell of it, I'll get the good ending. So I got the good ending for Solhyun. Then I went back to Toa, and I got Toa, and I was happy, yeah. But for some reason, I don't know why, but while playing the game, I started taking a liking to ITZY's YEZY. And so my next girl that I went after was YEZY, and her one immediately good ending somehow. The funniest thing was the fact that in her story, spoilers, ITZY is a girl working at a bar, and she sings. She composes, she makes music. She wants to be a singer or an idol. We'll say singer, but she ends up getting into contact with this company that turns out to be a little bit sleazy or a bit suspicious. And you know who the spokesperson for this suspicious company was?
What, you?
No. Like, what idol they used to... A male idol, by the way.
Oh, Super Junior's Heechul?
Nah. They used J Park.
No.
they used J Park full on. He's got his tats. He's wearing a singlet or a shirt to make him look very sleazy. And basically the run near the end, if you do everything properly, what happens is she gets taken to a hotel room with these big leagues, big boys, the management team. But the management team are more interested in her body and how they can sort of like, sure, you can be a singer, but we'll have pictures of you nude or like doing those bad acts, sexual acts, right, to blackmail her. And so the route for her is that you end up going to the hotel room, you beat them up. Obviously, you get beaten up instead because for some South Koreans, a lot of them just tend to be much more built than your main character, right? So you get beaten up, but depending on how well you went through the path for ITZY, you can she either leaves you or you become her agent. So she makes it big. She becomes a singer. But instead of her going to another company, you are the company. You and her are together, and you happen to be dating as well. So I got the good ending immediately. I was so happy. And then I thought back and I realized I should be ashamed because Choa should be the one I should be happy about.
It's that guilt. It's that guilt when your bias changes for a series or for a game or for even just one song. It's there's definite remorse there.
Yeah, but anyway, that's Angel Wings. Took me by surprise.
Yeah.
And
you give it 8 Choa high notes out of 10.
I think it's about a 3 chores and about 5 yeezys at this point. I think I mean I like ITZY, so hearing ITZY Leah on the news was quite shocking to me. But yeah, I am also leading more towards ITZY now, who I believe is the leader of their group. And as most people have listened to the podcast, probably know by now, I do like the leader types. Anyway, that's what I did in the past.
It's straight
weeks.
Facts. Yeah.
It's not for the podcast. I did it because I like Choa. Anyway, that's what I did. I'm sorry. I'm ashamed.
All right, Henry, we're going to move on to a super quick message thanking our lovely sponsors, you, listener. That's right. We are on Buy Me a Coffee. And if you like what you're hearing, if you love the show, just click on the link in the description. Send us as much as you want. It can be the tiniest amount. It can be a quarter of a cup of coffee. We don't mind. We'll drink it all up.
Do you have a favorite coffee, Sean?
Yes, I do. I am a flat white guy.
Flat white?
Oh, I guess international people don't know that. So a flat white is a no-foam latte in Australia.
Okay. Well, I like the one that has a bit of chocolate in it. I don't know what it's called. I don't know my coffee.
It's a cappuccino. That's a cappuccino, good sir.
I love a good cappuccino.
Nice.
That's my kind of coffee.
And we're heading into winter here, so it's extra cozy cappuccinos.
Yeah, give us some more money.
So we can stay warm.
Honestly, a cup of coffee is really nice. Even if you're not a coffee person, go for something like a nice hot chocolate. You can't go wrong with a nice hot chocolate. So yeah, think about it.
Absolutely. Links in the description. Thank you so much for listening anyway, even if you don't help us out. We love you. Back to it. Okay, so let's talk about Hyeon, AI music, and NFTs, Henry. We're getting techie this episode. Mm-hmm. And you have no idea what I just said. It might as well be Latin, right?
I mean, yes, you've written the name of a song. It's IDKWTD. It's just letters.
I'm going to translate that for you because it took me about 5 seconds, but I'm wondering if you still haven't figured it out after staring at it for 5 minutes.
I don't know what this is.
You're close.
I think when I looked at it, I'm like, I'm quite positive it stands for I don't know what to do.
That's right. That's what I think it stands for. If it turns out not to stand for that, I'm a bit shook. But as far as we know, Hyeon released a new track called IDKWTD. And this led me to discover Hyeon, who actually has been around since late last year. So, half a year or so. That's actually a pretty long time. I don't know how it escaped me. I'm a little shocked. And this Hyeon's label is a very interesting label that seems to be purely dedicated to creating music from AI technology, from an AI that they have made and sort of input all the learning for and everything. So I listened to the song. You did too, Henry. What did you think of it? IDKWTD.
Okay, so when I listened to the track, it was mellow, a bit relaxing, got a nice beat, got a nice melody to it. But the melody itself, the overall song was quite a simple track. It wasn't too crazy. It didn't have the nuances that typical K-pop tracks have, which is a mix of different genres or multitudes of genres. This one was much more simpler. And if anything, it's more like a B-side track than an A-side. And now, I'm personally not surprised about AI writing music because AI has been doing a lot of stuff in other areas as well. So, but overall, the song is nice. There's nothing wrong with it. It might not be to some people's taste. It might be perfect for other people. I think it's I think it's a nice average song. Would I listen to it again? Probably not. But I'm sure, Sean, what do you think of it?
So my initial thoughts were, wow, a computer or an AI created this? Because the sounds, as you said, very nice. The mood seemed to be kind of a melancholy one, but also sort of bright and hopeful. But once that, I guess, novelty, you'd call it, wore off, I just was bored. The song is boring. And I think that's partly due to, and I'm not sure if the AI, say, produced this, such as, because it says here it was composed, which means they wrote the notes of the song, effectively. That's what composition means.
Well, wouldn't they also decide on the kind of instruments, what certain notes each instrument would use?
Yes, precisely. Well, sort of theoretically.
He wrote a song. The AI wrote a song.
But the mixing side of things is where I had issues, I suppose, because it was mixed in a very boring fashion. There was nothing interesting. There was no edge to the song. And that comes out in the mix, I find, with certain techniques that producers use. And that was nowhere to be found on this track. Exact same with the mastering. Sure, it's very loud, and that was lovely. I loved all those kinds of elements, and nice and compressed, just like most pop music is. But overall, I was bored. There wasn't anything unique, really, or interesting besides that incredible thing that an AI composed this track. That is amazing. But beyond that, this song is boring.
All right, well, I can agree with that. In saying that, though, this is AI we're talking about. The true AI that people think, oh, in the next 20 years, we're going to be taken over by Skynet. Our best AI is, like, apparently the mind of a cockroach at best. Like, it's just not good. But when you narrow it down to a specialization, it's definitely better. In saying that, though, you don't hear a lot of AI writing music. They've written music, just not a lot. It's not a main area. You've got AI that's done chess. You've got AI that does Go. These are like puzzles. These are gaming. And then you've got AI that has done some video editing, and AI that's done... There has been AI that's done music in the past before, but mostly snippets. Yeah, just short clips of song rather than a full track that just needed a bit of mixing. So this is a great step. The problem here is, right now, the music is simple. Like Sean said, IDKWTD. It sounds very simple, and then eventually gets boring. Well, if you give the AI enough learning and enough material and enough variety, will it be able to create a song that will chop the tarts? Chop the tarts. Top the top the charts. Now, and then if they could, what happens if the only songs that top charts are purely AI-made songs? So what's going to happen to your human composers? What's going to happen to Sean? Sean's an audio engineer, and he's technically able to compose music. But if an AI suddenly is cheaper and can do it faster and better than Sean, what's Sean going to do? Think about it.
So,
AI,
right.
It takes over.
Here's why I'm worried, and I do think my job will be taken. This is only the start, and it's already pretty good. I'm pretty impressed. And this is the starting level of this technology, this AI music, because it's a technology in its infancy. It hasn't matured. It hasn't become commercialized. I can't have an AI in my home yet. And that will all happen in the future, years from now. And that's incredible. And the songs we're going to get out of these more advanced AI is going to blow my mind and blow all our minds. It'll be like nothing we've ever heard before, I imagine.
Cyberpunk.
But I think everything will be chrome.
Everything will be chrome, yes. It'll be a mix of rock and techno. Maybe. I don't know. And some violins in it.
Just those two genres. AI is not going to be capable of making anything outside rock.
No, AI will eventually find that the best kind of music comes from these three things.
That's all you need. Yes. Those are the three elements that make a pop song. Rock, techno, vocals.
Yes.
Yeah.
The perfect rap song is orchestral rock.
Yes.
I should also mention that Hayeon, the person who actually sings it, she's the younger sister of Taeyeon, who's from Girls' Generation. In fact, she's the leader of Girls' Generation.
Wow.
So that's something else to be aware of. Hayeon had already been pretty popular before debut. You can thank her sister for that. But she's also released songs as well. One of them was Eyes on You. No, wait, hold up. That was AI Composer. I apologize. But Hayeon has done other things as well, which I don't really have the information up. I apologize. But yeah, she has been popular in her own right for similar reasons.
And music. I think that has at least a little bit to do with why this track is gaining some traction on YouTube and just around. It's been talked about a bit because Hayeon already has a little bit of a presence and fan base. However, I'm not too worried about AI taking my job for like two reasons, I'd say. I think pop, maybe. I'll never work in pop ever because of AI. But other genres, indie genres, underground genres, there's two barriers to AI taking over those. And it's the purists and the quality of the AI, I feel. Because these songs are simple and they would have taken quite a lot of development, quite a lot of AI technology to build these songs, even if they're quite basic and the tech's in its infancy. Sure, this tech will advance, but who has money to advance it? That's an issue. The companies that do are in pop. Warner Music might have enough money enough resources. Universal might. These indie record labels, I don't think they'll have enough resources to power this AI technology. It just takes too much and it's not worth the money. So the quality of the tech is sort of an issue there, but purists as well. It's sort of the emotional side of music in a way. People are always going to love vinyl. I'll never understand why. But, well, I sort of understand why. It's a bit like owning a DVD. First off, it's a physical copy of something, and that's lovely. It's like you have a part of the band. It's like you have a part of history. That'll always appeal. But purists also swear by these older technologies. Even if science says these are inferior, which regarding vinyl versus CD, science does say the vinyl is inferior in terms of sound quality. There's pretty much no denying that. It's just a fact. But purists are like, no, I love vinyl. I love the way this record sounds on vinyl. For example, Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. So they're going to keep buying vinyl. They're convinced it's a better format. Now imagine that with AI versus human-engineered songs. I think the same thing will happen. I don't like AI music. I prefer humans. I just want humans to make my music. That's going to happen.
Here's the thing. Eventually, most of these purists won't tell the difference. Won't be able to tell the difference between an AI-made song and a true classic-made song that's specific for vinyl. You'll have an AI that'll make a song that sounds perfect on vinyl, and then purists won't be able to tell the difference.
Then I'm out of a job.
You're gonna be
so I guess my point is, it's just too expensive to make AI that advanced that only companies that are interested in pop, for example, Warner, Universal, all of them, will have these technologies available to wield as a tool in releasing music. Because I think you're sort of right. I think AI will just keep advancing, advance. but it'll take a long time because of the resources involved in creating AI and maintaining AI.
Now, right now, I believe the current abilities of AI-made music can still be used by certain, let's say, YouTubers. One of them are VTubers, mostly Japanese, but VTubers are one, and you have people like Code Miko.
Right.
Yeah, and they like Hatsune Miku, for example, is a pure CGI character. She's fake, but if you have AI-made music for a somewhat AI-generated character or a virtual character, virtual music versus with virtual character, there's your unique flair, and it works. It doesn't need to be amazing, create completely new trends. Not at all. I mean, Hatsune Miku's music is a mix of current. It's just a mix of different pop, J-pop, or genres, or some dance, or some electro.
Because it's made by the indie community. It's made by people in their bedrooms who have bought the software, so it's commercially available. Hatsune Miku. So I guess what you're sort of saying is, if AI is commercially available, we'll get.
Because no, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, though. So when it's commercially available, and so you have amateurs making it, because they need the experience, they need the practice. It could be the same people who make the song that sounds like IDK WTD. It's nice, but eventually it gets boring. But it's still a nice song, without a doubt. So eventually, you're gonna have Code Miko, for example. You're gonna have Code Miko, who's not gonna need to employ anyone to make a song. She can then just use this AI program to make a song. She'll just get someone to quickly mix it a bit, and suddenly she's got an album. Yeah,
and I'm out of a job again.
You're out of the job again, right? So suddenly she's got an album, and suddenly a girl who's just streaming on Twitch with an avatar, she's making billions. She'd be making more money than Kanye West, for example. And she didn't make the music. She owns it, and it's just a program they made it for her. That's going to really change everything.
Look, it depends. It really does depend on quite a few factors. One of them just being time. As the new generation of kids come through, they have different tastes to the older generation. They might not like or even be aware of, say, Rolling Stones or the Beatles. They might be more aware of, say, Machine Gun Kelly or BTS even. Mm-hmm. And I think that, to your point, Code Miko might become, and they'll think it's the greatest thing ever made, and that's awesome. That's great. They'll love it. That generation, I still think there will always be this kind of hardcore, loyal group, or just people who are into older stuff. Almost like a nostalgia thing. I think nostalgia is quite powerful, and that's sort of what'll keep humans in work. Just that nostalgia, that love of older sounds or human sounds. I don't think that'll go away. Maybe on an emotional level. Maybe humans are just wired to like stuff other humans have made. Maybe.
Well, I mean, at the moment, based on the track, I'm sure creativity is still on the human side, and AI has yet to master that area. So I guess
it's super exciting. I don't want to shit on it too much, because I do kind of want AI music to become fairly common. I think this is incredible, and I'm very excited for the sounds that we can create with AI, but that's in collaboration with. I sort of don't want the top 10 of Billboard one day to be all AI. That would make me a little uncomfortable, or I'd feel like that's a little too saturated of one type of sound, being AI sound. I love variety. I think variety is everything.
That's just you assuming that AI will have its own singular flair. Not at all. So I believe what it's going to be is that AI represents, or each program even, depending on the music, the information you give it, each AI program might end up having different perspectives of what the next trend might be. And when they create it, it might sound very different, to the point that it will literally take over a physical human composer, all physical human composers, because each and every single one are more than capable of writing completely crazy individual songs that can really heighten any genre, any mix of genre, or even create genres we never thought existed or didn't have a name for.
And then they'll get together, they'll form it starts off as a club, then a group, then a political party, then world domination.
The point is, Sean, you're gonna you're gonna lose your job, and then the music you put for our podcast is gonna be AI generated as well.
So in more confidence boosting moods, Palo Alto has sort of gotten one up on the robots by entering the digital space himself. Now, Palo Alto, for those who don't know, fairly famous Korean rapper. He's been on Show Me the Money a few times. He's released some pretty incredible songs with people such as Just This and Loco. Yeah, he's an incredible musician, artist, and CEO even of a label. Critical High?
Hold on, are we talking about Palo Alto or something else here?
Palo Alto.
Okay, all right.
And he released a track as an NFT on Snowdack. Now, an NFT, we should explain. They're non-fungible tokens. You might have seen them in the news, have you, Henry?
A non-what? Non-fungible?
Non-fungible token.
Non-fungible token, right?
That's how they're being used. So you get given a token and it's unique to you and you get to do what you want with it. And it can be, if you want, you can sell it. But that token can never be copied. You can't have two of that token. It's a unique token to you with a unique sort of serial number almost, I guess you could think of it as. And that's where it sort of naturally derives its value. But where it also derives its value is you can write certain terms into that token. So I can post a non-fungible token. I can post 5 of them, non-fungible tokens, each with their own serial number in a way, their own code, of my couch. And for each one, I can have different terms. I can say, okay, if you buy this particular one at this particular price, you get to own my couch.
Oh, okay. Half a couch, yeah, sure.
The other one could be, you get to broadcast video of my couch, but you don't actually own the couch, right? So it's sort of that kind of concept.
It's kind of like rather than buying a track, you do what companies do. They buy a contract. They make a contract to use the song for their own, for whatever they want.
Exactly.
It's like radio stations use
exactly.
who are paid to actually play their kind of music. So Katy Perry might pay Fox FM money to play her songs more often. But then after a certain point in the contract, it might say, all right, after 6 months, contract expires, they can't play the music anymore. And the contract, those terms are, pre-written. So similar to an NFT, is that right?
Absolutely. And so NFTs are quite useful for musicians, for artists, because they in general, appreciate in value due to how unique they are, due to how specific non-fungible tokens are. And it helps an artist sort of gain money just through the fact that they have created this very limited scarcity on an item that is theirs. Because obviously the artist is going to retain a token of their own, or they might not. They might fully let go of that particular piece, of that particular work. That's their choice, I guess.
Yeah, it just seems like it's like cutting out the middleman for selling their music.
It's sort of getting the upper hand on that kind of thing, selling their music, but also coming back to that music 5 years later and suddenly it's more valuable than it was on release. That's quite an exciting concept for something to appreciate in value by a lot, which potentially could happen with an NFT, or it goes to zero. So, this is not financial advice. Don't go out and buy NFTs right now. It's a bad idea, at least in our dumb opinion, but we don't know that much about it.
We're not into that sort of.
And it is connected to cryptocurrencies in a way, in that it's a blockchain technology. And in general, from what I've seen, you can only buy NFTs with crypto in general.
Okay.
That's all I've found so far.
That's the most complicated segment we've ever had.
Yeah, we did all right. That was the first, really complex thing. I feel I explained it terribly, but that's okay. If you don't fully understand, you know what? We'll post some links sort of describing NFTs in the description. We'll let the experts explain them. And also a link to the Paloalto NFT, which the other thing is that it is online forever. You're allowed to view this NFT. You're allowed to view this art piece. You're allowed to view this song and listen to this
Pirate
song.
it. Can I pirate the song? Can I use some sort of illegal add-on on my Google Chrome?
Because that's illegal, Henry, and you should not do illegal things.
But basically, does that... All right. The legal side, it just changes the way the legal side works, okay? I'm not trying to promote illegal activity. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, I was just like, I'm kind of curious whether it changes any sort of protection for your own music, your there's a term for it.
As far as I'm aware, there's potential for that, but I have not seen it yet. But as far as I'm aware, there is potential for that.
NFT is pretty new, I assume.
They're fairly new as far as I'm aware. I can't give an exact date because it's a product of the internet. So there's a lot of people saying this is the first one, this is the first one. You know what I mean? It's a bit wavy on exact dates, but they've been around a couple years. They've really come popular with bands like Kings of Leon released aspects of the album and features such as merch and stuff as NFTs during their latest album release a few months back or during the pandemic.
Okay.
That's incredible. That's quite amazing. And I think NFTs might be here to stay, but I'm not certain. And they are tied to the very volatile thing that is crypto. So if cryptocurrencies go to zero, NFTs go to zero with it. Seems to be the current way things are.
Right.
But either way, Paloalto, look, it's amazing having these pioneers and these people taking risks. And respect to Paloalto for releasing it. And it even has some cool artwork with this kind of, what would you call it? Almost a monk-like figure or a praying type human figure on a Bitcoin spinning around. It's pretty awesome. I'll also link that in the description because, as I said, it's free to view the NFT. Just obviously, if you want to buy it, go ahead, buy whatever. Do what you want.
Are we done with NFT yet? I mean, you're doing my head in. It is actually very confusing, especially if you don't work in that area. But
something else that would confuse me is if I found Ariana Grande singing in Chinese.
Or Korean, for this matter, right?
Yeah. That is my segue into something that BTS Army were debating was whether BTS should only sing in Korean. My only real reason for this is that they are from Korea and Korean is their first language. What's your take on this, Henry? Because I think that's bad for business, personally.
Purely singing only in Korean, regardless of...
for your whole career. Let's just say BTS sang for their entire careers in Korean.
Well, easily I'd say no, man. I mean, look, the more languages that you can sing in, you can then attract a wider market of listeners because,
Exactly.
I don't understand Korean, but they suddenly sing in English, and if it's good English, not like auto-tune, somewhat broken English like Dynamite, no offense, which is still a great song, by the way, and it's huge, and I enjoy it. But, you know what I mean, right? Some people won't get into it that easily. It's very, very difficult. It's one of the reasons why you're not going to hear J-pop on radio stations. Why? Because most people who listen to J-pop get it from anime. Right?
It's such an important thing for netizens, K-pop fans, J-pop fans, Asian culture fans to never forget that there are other people interested in other things in the world. I know, mind blown, but there are people who can't watch Minari because it has Korean subtitles for some of it. There are people who, and only some of it, and there are people who can't watch Parasite because it's in Korean and has English subtitles. There's people that just cannot handle different languages besides their native one, whether that be English, Chinese, Russian, whatever it may be. There's those people out there, and that is fine. They're allowed to be like that and live their life that way. And it's because of the amount of those people that it suddenly becomes a little bit important to, if you can, go ahead, sing in French, English, Korean, and Japanese if you're pretty good at all those languages. Because you reach as many people as possible. It's just facts.
Yeah, exactly. And it adds variety. A song that was made with a Korean language and then you make it again but with English language could have differences. Sometimes the way the language works, you might have, for example, if speedrunners, people who play games really fast to get the fastest time, sometimes they don't play it in English. They'll play it in Japanese. Why? Because there are less words needed to finish a sentence compared to, let's say, English. That takes up, you might have 10 words for, or you might have 10 words and each word is like 10 letters long. That takes up half your screen. Whereas in Japanese, it's only like 4 letters. And so you can get through the talking parts of a song very quickly. That's an example. So you've got that. I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, that's an interesting thought, what you just said. You can actually recontextualize and change songs through singing them in a different language. That's very interesting.
All right. I'm confused myself. So basically the point is there are you might need to change aspects of a song because of its language, right?
Yes.
And then that's another version of the song. It's not the simple versions where we hear, Korean version, so it's just Korean. And then English version is just English. No. It'll be like Korean version. There'll be certain melodies in there that differs from the English version to help fit that language versus the English language.
And the culture, that comes out in BTS's songs. Their Western marketed songs, Dynamite, for example, they are different in these cultural ways and in the way they're produced to tailor to that audience. And I do find it really interesting if in a single discography you have all these songs appealing to all these different cultures. Japan, for BTS, Japan, Korea, and the West. We assume the US West rather than a British aesthetic or even an Australian aesthetic. That's really interesting to sort of pick apart those songs or even just listen to, because it gives BTS natural variety and you can't have them sound the same all the time. What I kind of don't like right now, or what I can't accept or makes me cringe a bit, is the thought of Ariana Grande singing in Chinese or Japanese. But that's more because I'm quite confident that she just doesn't have enough knowledge of those languages to do that. Whereas BTS have studied really hard in English for many years now, so I think they've kind of got the chops to get the job done.
Yeah, no, I agree. So that's the other thing, fluency. Now, you don't necessarily need to be fluent in the language to be able to talk to people at a high level, like talking business in a language that's second nature to you. Well, not second nature to you, sorry. That is not your first language. So,
yes, right.
But, yeah, so the other thing is when I first heard BTS's Dynamite, immediately I could tell the English was just not right there. It just wasn't working that well. I mean, I assume also that's why they added the auto-tune in to help hide some of the weird sounds from their English. In the end, the song's just meant to be fun. It's meant to be a nice, dancey, happy track, and it works great.
Okay, but let's talk about Butter, because they come out with Butter, and their English is very good. You can understand it. It's great.
So, wait, what's this about Butter?
BTS's new song, Butter.
Okay, yeah.
Their English is fantastic in that, and there's a little less auto-tune in the mix. So here's my theory that, sure, what you're saying might be a little bit true, that the auto-tune is basically covering up some blemishes in their English, some bad parts, some bad pronunciation, enunciation, etc. But I think it's an aesthetic choice as well. I think it's a mixed choice to have that amount of auto-tune in Dynamite, because just as you said, it's a fun song. It's meant to be quite bright and bubbly.
Well, that's the song for it. Yeah. I agree. It's just, for example, using Ariana Grande. If she was to sing in Chinese or Japanese or Korean, pronunciation would be pretty important because, for example, Chinese. If there's a different, there's four sounds or even five sounds to one character, and if you say the sound wrong, it could mean something completely different. It could mean something bad. That's something to be aware of. Now, with English, you can say business, 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 business. It won't matter. It's the same word. It has the same meaning. But let's say I throw in a Chinese word. I say the word. It's spelled in English. It'll be spelled shi. So shi. All right. So shi has one meaning. Shi has another meaning. Shi has another meaning. Shi has another meaning. That's four sounds. It's written the same way. The tone's just a little different. You say it wrong, you might end up defaming something or someone. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the thing. So being able to sing in different languages opens so many possibilities, and BTS has done amazingly well. But there's a pitfall. If you don't have the language down pat to a certain extent, it can be seen as you're making fun of the language.
Yeah, you're either if you're an artist, you're sort of wasting your time, or you're actually causing offense to the detriment of your work, your career.
Not just that, it can also hurt the song that you just made.
Absolutely.
If the language just doesn't, if you can't sing in that language, then the song itself will become worse for it.
Yeah, it becomes a laughingstock potentially, or it becomes a super offensive, even though you intended a love song or something. Yeah. Right.
Imagine listening to Metallica with their song Enter Sandman, but the drummer doesn't know how to play drums.
That's an interesting thought.
Yeah, like that. Or just he knows how to play drums, but he's occasionally offbeat.
Like that. If it's at uncomfortable times, oh my gosh, yeah, it suddenly changes the entire mood of the track. You're right. It's things like that, just as languages. It really does change the entire track.
Yes. So using drums as an example, as a drummer learning, let's say, drums for metal, for the genre of metal, if that drummer also decide to expand into other genres like jazz, suddenly they'll have a larger repertoire. They can then start creating trends in music just because they've just done a little extra in another genre. Same with language. You dabble in other languages, suddenly you have more options. You're able to do new things. There are certain songs can you imagine, let's say, this old group, TVXQ, with the song Melodic, right? Sometimes songs like that, the style of music, the genre itself, it's known as the number one K-pop sounding song, right? Other songs don't sound as much K-pop as that. But then if you add English to it, it still sounds more K-pop than anything. Other songs you'll have, you change, let's say Dynamite. If you had Korean, it would sound like a K-pop track. But then, back in English, it sounds like a Western track. It really diverts it. Whereas sort of something like TVXQ's Melodic, because the music itself is so ingrained into the K-pop, the language won't necessarily matter. They're having the ability to use different languages, having the ability to expand into different genres, use different instruments. There's a lot that you can do. Some might limit you, but for the most part, you're going to be able to do so many things. You're going to be ahead of everyone. That's why BTS is number one. You got Blackpink at number two, if anything, in regards to international success. I'm sure Blackpink is a bit more popular because their style is much more hip hop. It's much more free form. BTS is a bit more fun, more on the pop side, I would say, I guess. But hey, more skills, more experience, more knowledge, more variety, more market, more listeners, more money. Okay, that's So should BTS only sing in Korean songs? Hell no. You kidding me? They should be able to write whatever songs in whatever language they want, as long as they're able to do it well, do it respectively. They're not trying to hurt anyone, but they're trying to do what most people do when they write songs, to express their opinion on something, or maybe tell a story. Yeah, make songs that make you feel emotion.
Right on. So join us next week when we do this podcast in Cantonese.
We're not doing it in Cantonese because you don't know Cantonese.
That's right. It will be horrible.
It will be horrible. That's right.
This does bring us to the end of another episode of How Not to K-Pop. Henry, I interrupted you. What were you saying?
No, I was just going to say, it would be interesting if we do end up doing a podcast in pure Korean.
Never. That's
Suddenly we have a market. Some of our listeners are suddenly from Korea all of a sudden. That would be great. But and you never know. Maybe Hyon will be listening in.
I'm not studying Korean. I can tell you that now. So that's probably not going to happen.
You say that, but all the people who are listening right now, just so you know, Sean has also dabbled in K-pop choreography. We're going to leave it at that. We're leaving now. Thank you for listening.
If only TikTok was out during those years, Henry, we would have filmed ourselves and made asses of ourselves doing our dances. Beautiful.
Well, yes.
Okay, yep. We're going to end the episode here. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for sticking around. This was a little bit longer than usual, but amazing. We'll see you very, very soon. Buy us a coffee. We love you. How Not to K-Pop. I'm Sean. That's Henry.
See you guys.
Till next time.